In this video, we bring you, in our opinion, the best war movies. If a movie isn't on the list, leave it in the comments. This is Top Movie and TV. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell to see more videos like this. Let's start. Starting our list at number 12, we have Hacksaw Ridge. It tells the story of Desmond Doss, a young soldier who participated in the bloody Battle of Okinawa in the Pacific during World War II and became the first conscientious objector in American history to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. Doss wanted to serve his country, but since he was a child, he had made a promise to himself never to pick up a gun. Next up at number 11, Tears of Sun. Somewhere in Africa, a president is overthrown, a new dictator arises, another civil war, and one ethnic group sets out to eliminate the other. The story is that of a lieutenant of the Navy SEALs, Bruce Willis, sent to get an American citizen out of the country, Dr. Kendricks. This woman refuses to abandon her people and will turn a relatively simple mission of the SEALs into a complex operation that may have international, political, and diplomatic repercussions. Next up at number 10, Stalingrad. In 1942, Stalingrad suffers a terrible siege by German troops. This film shows the horrors of war through the attitudes of a group of German soldiers who arrive in Stalingrad after enjoying a permit in Italy. The Battle of Stalingrad was one of the bloodiest of the Second World War, in which more than 1.5 million soldiers died. A German blockbuster with a careful setting in the year in which the 70th anniversary of the battle that meant a change in the course of the Second World War in Europe had been celebrated. Stalingrad is a film by the Russian director Fyodor Bondarchuk, who proposes us to travel to the scene of one of the bloodiest battles in the history of humanity, wrapped in the controversy of the expectations that its title generates. Next up at number 9, we have Fury. The story takes place at the dawn of the Second World War, accompanying a crew of 5 brave soldiers in a cold American steel tank whose objective is to enter through the European coast. One of them is Brad Pitt, who will try to survive with his comrades the last days of the war that shook all of Europe, a race against time to keep his job and get out of the hell alive with the only consolation of an imminent end. His only support will be the confidence in the group of men that accompany him. Without them, it would be impossible to survive. It is a war drama that offers a new point of view on the events of the Second World War. Next up at number 8, Che Part 2. Biography of the iconic revolutionary guerrilla Ernesto Che Guevara, based on his diary, is the second part. After the success of the Cuban Revolution in its first years in the Castro government, Che left Cuba in the mid-1960s for Bolivia, where under the name of Ramon, he intends to lead the revolution in that country. At the Cannes Festival, Che was broadcast in its entirety for 4.5 hours in commercial cinemas. It was broadcast divided into 2 films, Che the Argentine and Che Part 2. Next up at number 7, Dunkirk. In one of the most powerful images from Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan's wonderful new feature film, a British plane is seen on fire. The film recounts an early and harrowing campaign in World War II, which took place months after the German invasion of Poland and weeks after Hitler's forces began to deploy in the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and France. After gliding to a stop, the pilot sets the defiant plane on fire to avoid capture. It is an image to defeat, but also the emblem of resistance and a harbinger of dire conflicts to come. Next up at number 6, American Sniper. It is the autobiography of Marine Field Chris Kyle, a Texan who broke the U.S. Army sniper kill record. Kyle was sent to Iraq with the mission of protecting his comrades. His aim and pinpoint accuracy saved countless lives on the battlefield, for which he earned the nickname of Legend. But when the news of his exploits reached the enemy ranks, a price was put on his head and he became the main target of his enemies. In Iraq, Chris participated in 4 dangerous missions, applying the main motto of the Marines, "Leave no man behind," while his wife and 2 small children were waiting for him at home. Next up at number 5, The Last Samurai. Nathan Algren, played by Tom Cruise, lives a moment of his life not very promising. Algren is a man who has taken the concepts of honor and homeland very seriously, and for them, he was fighting in battles that now seem distant and useless to him. The world is changing, and Nathan wonders what was the point of fighting to sow barbarism among the Indian community in his country. Something he's not at all proud of. Drowned in alcohol, now fighting only for money, he accepts a contract to go to Japan and fight the samurai in an attempt by the Japanese government to westernize their army. When he arrives in the East, Nathan begins to train the inexperienced soldiers until he is kidnapped by the samurai. Among these brave warriors, Algren meets Katsumoto, the last leader of the ancient lineage of warriors who are the revered samurai. In the company of Katsumoto, the American rediscovers the meaning of honor and sacrifice. Next up at number 4, 71. A young British soldier is accidentally abandoned by his unit during a riot in the streets of Belfast in 1971. Unable to distinguish between friend and foe and increasingly distrustful of his own comrades, the inexperienced recruit must try to survive the night alone and fight his way back through a bewildering, strange and deadly landscape. Hook and his platoon arrive at their Belfast headquarters with their superior. A group of young officers, including Lieutenant Armitage, is briefed on the situation in Belfast by their commanding officer. The city is divided between Protestant areas and Catholic nationalist areas, both with paramilitary factions. To complicate matters, the nationalist movement is at war with each other. The IRA Irish Republican Army against the younger and more radical of the street, the provisional IRA officers are warned not to join a particular dangerous organization, which is the Republican Baton. Next up at number 3, Saving Private Ryan. In this sense, Steven Spielberg gives us one of the best war films in all of history, which focuses on a mission that Captain John Miller will have to carry out. Acted by the wonderful Tom Hanks in the middle of the landing in Normandy, France. During the Second World War, a mother lost 3 children at the same time, and that is why the US government especially asked to recover the 4th of the family, James Ryan, played by Matt Damon, so that he can return safely to his home. A group commanded by Miller will disembark on this dangerous journey through the French beaches to fulfill this objective. The film is inspired by the Leyland brothers. Next up at number 2, Pearl Harbor. Rafe McCauley, played by Ben Affleck, is a daring young idealist who can join the US Air Force. He enlists in the Eagle Squadron, a group made up of neutral countries that volunteered to fight alongside the British pilots during the Battle of England, leaving behind his new love, a nurse, and his best friend, Danny Walker, a pilot, whom he considers a brother and with whom he learned to fly dangerously in fumigation planes. He promises to both of them that he will return safe, but Evelyn and Danny are disappointed. She is devastated since Rafe is the love of her life and Danny feels betrayed by his friend. On the contrary, Evelyn and Danny are destined for an idyllic Hawaiian paradise, Pearl Harbor. On a lazy Sunday morning in December 1941, as children play confidently and families pray in churches, a squadron of Japanese warplanes soar through the skies of a Hawaiian paradise and make a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, a US naval base. This infamous day in the history of the United States forced it to come out of its isolation and declare total war. This would change the course of history. Lastly, at number 1, Grave of the Fireflies. The story of two brothers who struggle to survive is the one that presents us with The Grave of the Fireflies, a film directed by Isao Takahata. In the summer of 1945, the city of Kobe is brutally attacked by the Americans. Seita and his little sister Setsuko live there, together with their mother. During the attack, the brothers are unable to reach the shelter in time to meet their mother, so they observe firsthand how their city is devastated. Later, when the shooting and the bombs stop, Seita and Setsuko go in search of their mother, but what they find forces them to mature before their time in order to get ahead in a world that will not last long to make things difficult for them. What war movie would you add to this top list? We read you in the comments. And here I will leave you with more videos like this.